Surface tension. In this chapter, mechanical properties of fluids, we can discuss the properties of the liquids and gases. First of all, in case of gases, the intermolecular distance is large compared to the intermolecular distance between the molecules of the liquid. And due to the large intermolecular gap between the molecules of the gases, the gas molecules are does not held together. Why? Because of in case of the molecules of the gases, the intermolecular distance is large. Due to this reason, the molecules of the gas does not held together, or the molecule of the gas does not influence by its neighboring molecule. Whereas in case of liquids, the intermolecular range is, in case of liquids, the intermolecular range is 10 power minus 10 meters. It means from molecule to its neighboring molecule, the distance between those two molecules is in the order of 10 power minus 10 meters. The distance between the adjacent molecules is nothing but intermolecular range. In case of liquids, it is 10 power minus 10 meters. At these distances, the gravitational force of attraction is in the order of the gravitational force of attraction is in the order of 10 power minus 50 newtons, and intermolecular force is in the order of, and intermolecular force is in the order of 10 power minus 11 newtons. Due to these two forces, gravitational force of attraction and intermolecular force, one is 10 power minus 50 newtons and another one is 10 power minus 11 newtons. Due to these two forces on the adjacent molecules of a liquid, the liquid molecules are held together. Due to these two forces, the molecules of a liquid are held together. Okay, it means the molecule of a liquid is influenced by its neighboring molecule. Due to the influence between the two adjacent molecules, those two molecules are held together. Okay, then the molecular range. Molecular range. Molecular range means the maximum range or the maximum distance between the two molecules of a fluid. At those distance, the intermolecular force is acting. That distance is 10 power minus 9 meters. If the distance between two adjacent molecules is more than 10 power minus 9 meters, then the intermolecular force is vanishes, and the intermolecular distance between those two molecules of the fluid is less than or equals to 10 power minus 9 meters, then intermolecular force is acting between those two molecules. Simply, molecular range means the maximum range between the molecules of the fluid such that the intermolecular force is acting between them. That intermolecular range between the molecules of the fluid is 10 power minus 9 meters. And adhesion. What is meant by adhesion? or adhesive force. Adhesion means the force of attraction among the molecules of non-similar substances is called adhesion. Adhesion means the force of attraction between the molecules of non-similar substances or different substances is called adhesion. And cohesion. Cohesion means the force of attraction between the molecules of the similar substances is called cohesion. Cohesion means the force of attraction between molecules of similar substances is called cohesion. This is the introduction of the surface tension. Surface tension. All of you observe that the mosquitoes are staying on the surface of a water and the paper boats are floating on the surface of the water. This is due to surface tension. The upper surface or the free surface of a liquid acts like a stretched elastic membrane. Due to this, the free surface of a liquid supports some weightless objects on it. Okay, the surface tension definition is the tangential force acting per unit length. Draw a imaginary line on the free surface of the liquid and the surface tension acts right angles to that imaginary line on the free surface of the liquid. Simply, the surface tension is tangential force acting per unit length, right angles to the imaginary line drawn on free surface of the liquid, and the free surface of a liquid acts like a stretched elastic membrane. From the definition, the numerical formula for the surface tension is T equals to F by L, and it having SI units Newton per meter and CGS units Dyne per centimeter, and it having the dimensional formula m power 1 L power 0 T power minus 2, and the conversion between SI units to CGS units is 1 Newton per meter is equals to 10 cube dyne per centimeter, and the surface tension is a scalar. Okay, let us consider this is a glass beaker containing some amount of water, and the upper surface of a liquid, the meniscus is like this. Okay, this is the imaginary line drawn on the free surface of a liquid, and this is the tangential force acting on this imaginary line. Here, this upper surface of a liquid acts like a stretched elastic membrane, and the examples: greasy needle, floats on surface of water. Okay, this is the example for the surface tension. Like these objects, greasy needle and some circular discs, circular loops. Okay, these are some weightless objects floats on the surface of the liquid. Due to the surface tension, the weightless objects are stays on the free surface of a liquid. To lift those objects from the free surface of a liquid, we apply some force on those objects. The lifting force, or the force required to lift the objects from surface of a liquid is let us consider this is the surface of a liquid. On this liquid, if there is a needle like this, here the water touch with the needle at its both sides. Once again, the water is in touch with the needle at its both sides. That's why here the effective length is 2L, where L is the length of the needle. Then from the formula of surface tension, which is equals to tangential force acting per unit length, here the effective length is 2L. That's why the force required to lift the needle from the upper surface of a fluid is F equals to T into 2L. Okay, and in case of a circular disc, let us consider this is a circular disc of radius R, and this circular disc stays on the free surface of a liquid. Then the lifting force required to remove this circular disc from the water surface is F equals to T into effective length. Here the effective length of that circular disc is, and in case of this is about needle, and this is in case of circular disc. Okay, consider there is a circular disc of radius capital R which is lies on the free surface of a liquid. Due to the surface tension, we need to apply some force to remove the circular disc from the water surface. That lifting force is equals to surface tension into effective length. Here effective length means the water which is in contact with the disk. Here, if r is the radius of the circular disk, then the length of the circular disk is nothing but its circumference. Here, f equals to 2 pi r into t. Here, effective length is 2 pi r, where t is the surface tension of that liquid. And in case of circular loop, let us consider this is a circular loop of radius r which lies on the free surface of a liquid. Then the lifting force required to remove that circular loop from the water surface is F equals to surface tension into effective length. Here, the effective length of the circular loop. Here, water is in touch with the circular loop from inside and from outside. So, here the effective length can be written as simply written as 2 into 2 pi r. This is a thin circular ring. The innermost and outermost radius are almost equal. That's why here the effective length means the water which is in contact with the ring. Here the water with the ring inside and outside is in contact. That's why here effective length is 2 into 2 pi r. That's why here the lifting force is T into 4 pi r. Okay. And in case of a square plate, let us consider this is a square plate of side A which floats on the surface of a water. This is the water. Then the force required to lift this square plate from the free surface of a liquid is again F equals to surface tension into effective length. Here the effective length of the square which is in contact with the liquid is nothing but 4a. Okay. And in case of square loop, similarly in case of square loop, let us consider this is a square loop of side length small a, initially which is at the free surface of a liquid. Then the force required to lift this square loop from the free surface of a liquid is F equals to T into effective length which is in contact with the liquid. Loop means the liquid is contact from inside and from outside. That's why it is a thin square loop. That's why the sides are almost equal from inside and outside. Here the effective length is 2 into 4a. It means the liquid is in contact with the loop from inside and outside. This is the lifting force required to remove the object of a square loop of side A from the free surface of a liquid. And in case of rectangular plate, of length L and breadth B. Let us consider this is a rectangular plate having the dimensions of length L and breadth B. if this rectangular plate is lies on the free surface of a liquid, then the force required to remove this rectangular plate from the water is again force equals to surface tension into effective length. Here the effective length means the length which is in contact with the water of the object. Here F equals to T into the length of the total length of the rectangular plate is 2 into L plus B, where L is the length of the rectangular plate and B is the breadth of the rectangular plate. While similarly in case of rectangular loop, it is once again consider this is a rectangular loop of length L and breadth B, and this rectangular loop stays on the surface of a liquid of surface tension T. Then the force required to lift this rectangular loop from the surface of a liquid is F equals to surface tension of the liquid into effective length which is in contact with the water. Here in case of loops, the water is contact with the object from inside and from outside. That's why here the effective length is T into 2 into L plus B into 2. 2 means the water surface wets this rectangular loop from outside and from inside 2 times. That's why here 2 into 2 L plus B. These are the formulas for force required to lift the object from the surface of a liquid, where T is the surface tension of that liquid, Okay. Surface tension and surface energy. In this video, we can determine the relationship between the surface tension and surface energy. Already we know that surface tension is the tangential force acting per unit length at right angles to the imaginary line drawn on the free surface of a liquid, and the surface energy is nothing but work done per unit surface area. To determine the relationship between the surface tension and surface energy, let us consider a rectangular loop P, Q, R, S, and the one side of the rectangular loop containing a sliding wire AB of length some L. Okay, and there is no friction between the sliding wire and the rectangular loop. There is no friction between the sliding wire and rectangular loop. Okay, due to this sliding wire can be easily moves into the loop or outside the loop for the small forces also. Now this arrangement is dipped into a soap solution. A soap film is formed over the rectangular loop. Let us assume that this is a soap film. It is formed over the rectangular loop. Why? Because of the entire loop is dipped into the soap solution. Now the soap film is formed on the both sides of the rectangular loop. Soap film is formed on both sides of loop. Now according to the surface tension, this soap film acts like a stretched elastic membrane. Due to its stretching nature, the sliding wire can be pulled inwards by this soap film. Due to this pulling force, the sliding wire can be easily moved into the loop and there is no friction between the sliding wire and the rectangular loop. Now the pulling force acting on the sliding wire on any one side of the soap film is the pulling force acting on sliding wire due to any one side of soap film is the pulling force F equals to T into L, and this rectangular loop containing soap films at its both sides. Due to this, the net force acting on sliding wire is the net force is F suffix n equals to T into 2L. Okay, why? Because of there are two soap films. There are two soap films. Okay, now these two soap films acts like a stretched elastic membranes. Due to its stretching nature, the sliding wire is pulled by those two soap films into inwards the rectangular loop. Due to this, the rectangular loop can be displaced through a displacement of some x into the loop. Due to the pulling force, let us consider now the sliding wire is at this position. The sliding wire moves from this position to this position through some displacement x, and finally there is pulling force on the sliding wire and displacement. Now the work done is force into displacement, net force acting on the sliding wire into displacement. Okay, the net force acting on the sliding wire is T into 2L, and the displacement travelled by the sliding wire due to inward pulling force by the soap film is some x, and we observe this product length into x, it is like a length into breadth of this rectangle. Okay, for any rectangle, the product of length into breadth is nothing but area. Now this is finally work done is equals to T into 2 into A. Here A is the surface area of any one side of that rectangle surface, and 2A is the total surface area. Finally we got that W equals to T into A, and this is here A is the total surface area of that rectangle, and from this relation we got that W by A equals to T. And this term work done per unit surface area is called surface energy. Okay, finally we got that surface energy is equals to surface tension. This is the relation between surface tension and surface energy. Okay. In this session, we have to discuss about the applications based on the relation between the surface tension and surface energy. In the previous session, we derived that the relation between the surface tension and surface energy is surface tension is equals to surface energy, and the surface energy is nothing but work done per unit surface area. From this formula, we got that work done equals to surface tension into area. Based on this formula, we have different applications in case of liquid drops and soap bubbles. First of all, work done to form a liquid drop of radius capital R is W equals to T into 4 pi R square. This is the formula for the work done to form the liquid drop of radius capital R. And work done to blow the radius of the liquid drop from R1 to R2 is, okay, let us consider this is a liquid drop of initial radius R1. Okay, to blow this liquid drop, that's why its radius is changes from R1 to R2. To blow this radius R2, the work done is the initial work done to form the liquid drop of radius R1 is T into 4 pi R1 square, and to blow the liquid drop of radius R2, the work done is similarly W2 equals to T into 4 pi R2 square. Now the net work done to blow the liquid drop of radius from R1 square to R1 to R2, which is the net work done is here W equals to W2 minus W1, that equals to T into 4 pi R2 square minus T into 4 pi R1 square. In the both terms, 4 pi T is the common term. By getting common, it is 4 pi R2 square minus 4 pi R1 square. Finally, we got that 4 pi T into R2 square minus R1 square. In the same type, work done to form a soap bubble of radius capital R is W equals to, this is the formula for the work done to form a soap bubble of radius capital R is 8 pi R square into T. In a similar manner, to blow the radius of the soap bubble from R1 to R2, to blow the radius of soap bubble from R1 to R2, the initial work done to form the soap bubble of radius R1 is W1 equals to 8 pi R1 square into T, and to blow the soap bubble of radius R2, the work done is 8 pi R2 square into T. The net work done to blow the soap bubble of radius from R1 to R2 is some W. The value of W is simply final work done minus initial work done. And in this also, the common term 8 pi t, on getting common, we got that 8 pi t into R2 square minus R1 square. This is the net work done in case of the soap bubble to blow its radius from R1 to R2, and this is the net work done to blow the liquid drop of radius from R1 to R2. And similarly, in this question, if the radius of the soap bubble is increased by 2 times, then simply the answer is in the above formula or in the above application. If radius is doubled, if radius is doubled, then simply the initial radius of the soap bubble is some r, double radius is some 2r. By substituting the values, the work done is became like W equals to 8 pi t into R2 square is nothing but final radius. Here the radius is doubled means final radius 2r. In place of R2 we can substitute 2r whole square. It is 4r square minus initial radius r square. It means 4r square minus r square, 3r square into 8 pi t. It is 24 pi t r square. This is the work done to blow the radius of the soap bubble by double 2 times. Okay. If the same formula is applied in case of liquid drop, if the radius of the liquid drop is raised by 2 times, simply it is also 4 pi r square minus r square at here, 3r square into 4 pi t, it is 12 times pi t r square. Okay, these are the basic formulas of the blowing liquid drop and soap bubble. Okay, and the next application is, if the radius of the soap bubble is increased by n times, then its work done is, let us consider if W is the work done to blow the radius of the soap bubble R, then work done to blow its radius by nr. Okay, in this application, the initial radius of the soap bubble is r, and its work done is to blow this radius r, the work done is w. To blow its radius by n times, then the final work done is, initially the work done to blow the radius of the soap bubble R is 8 pi R square into T. Okay, to blow its radius by n times, simply the final work done is 8 pi into the new soap bubble having the radius nr, the radius square into T. From this, W dash equals to n square into 8 pi R square into T. From this, W dash is equals to n square into 8 pi R square T is the initial work done. To blow the radius from R to NR, the work done is increased from W2 to n square W. It means if radius is increased by n times, its work done is increased by n square times. In the same manner, if W is the work done to blow the surface area of the soap bubble A, in the same manner there are also two applications like that in case of the surface area and in case of the volume. If A is the surface area of the soap bubble and the work done required to blow its surface area to n times is, okay, the work done formula is surface tension into surface area. To blow the surface area A, the work done is T into A. To blow the surface area NA, then the work done is T into NA. Simply it is N into TA. TA is nothing but W. By substituting the value, W dash equals to NW. In this application, to raise the surface area of the soap bubble by n times, the work done is also increases by n times. In the same manner, in case of volume, to blow the volume V of a soap bubble, the work done is W. Then to raise its volume by n times, the work done is, okay, the formula for the forming of the soap bubble of work done is W equals to 8 pi R square into T. Here work done is directly proportional to square of the radius. And soap bubble, the volume of the soap bubble is V is directly proportional to 4 by 3 pi R cube. The above formula, volume is directly proportional to cube of its radius. From this, radius is proportional to V power 1 by 3. Okay, from these two, W is proportional to, in place of R, we substitute V power 1 by 3, it became as V power 1 by 3 whole square. From this, W is proportional to V power 2 by 3. Okay, if the volume is V, work done is proportional to V power 2 by 3. If the volume is NV, then the final work done is NV whole power 2 by 3. It means W dash equals to N power 2 by 3 into V power 2 by 3. V power 2 by 3 is nothing but W. By substituting the value, W dash equals to N power 2 by 3 into W. Okay, in these three applications, if the radius of the soap bubble is increased by n times, and in the second application, if the surface of the soap bubble is increased by n times, and in the third application, if the volume of the bubble is increased by n times, then the final work done are, in case of radius is increased by n times, the final work done is increased by n square times of its initial work done. And here, if the surface area is increased by n times, the final work done is also increased by n times of its initial work done. And in case of volume, if the volume of the soap bubble is increased by n times, then work done required to increase its volume by n times is equals to nothing but n power 2 by 3 times of its initial work done. These are the basic applications of the soap bubble and liquid drops. Similarly, in case of liquid drops, in place of 8, we can substitute 4. And the formulas all are same as like in case of the liquid drop also. Okay. Next, work done to split a big drop into n identical small droplets is, and the next application is work done to split a big drop into n identical drops. Okay, let us consider this is a big drop of radius capital R, and this big drop is splits into n identical droplets. Identical droplet means all the droplets having same size, and the radius of each droplet is small r. According to law of conservation of mass, the mass of this big drop is equals to the number of droplets into mass of the small droplet. According to law of conservation of mass, the mass of big drop is equals to n into mass of small drop. Here n is the number of droplets those are formed from the big drop. Okay, now mass of the big drop, mass is nothing but volume into density. The volume is 4 by 3 pi. Here radius of the big drop is capital R cube. Volume into density is equals to, here also n into volume. Here the formula for the volume is 4 by 3 pi. Radius of the each small drop is small r into again density. Here the small droplets are forming from this big drop, that's why the densities are same. And 4 by 3 pi, the constant is same in both sides. By cancelling the common terms, we got r cube equals to n into small r cube. From this, capital R equals to n power 1 by 3 into small r. Okay, from this relation, the radii of big droplet, the ratio of radii of big droplet to the small droplet is n power 1 by 3, or it can be written as like the ratio of radii of small droplet to the big droplet is 1 by n power 1 by 3. And when the big droplet is splits into n identical droplets, then the surface area of all small droplets is greater than the surface area of the big droplet. That's why the change in surface area is delta A equals to some A2 minus A1. Okay, here the change in surface area is delta A equals to A2. And it means final surface area minus initial surface area. Final surface area, there are n droplets, each droplet of surface area 4 pi r square. This is the final surface area of all droplets, minus initial surface area is 4 pi r square, where small r is the radius of the small drop and capital R is the radius of the big droplet. Okay, from this delta A equals to, here the 4 pi is the common term. By getting common 4 pi, it would be written as like n into r square minus capital R square. Okay, from this delta A is equals to 4 pi. By getting small r square common, it can be written as like n minus capital R square by small r square. Okay, here we having the equation of the ratio of radii of big droplet to the small droplet is n power 1 by 3, and r square by capital R square by small r square. By squaring on both sides, we got that capital R square by small r square is nothing but n power 2 by 3. By substituting the value, it is delta A is equals to 4 pi small r square into n minus capital R square by small r square is nothing but n power 2 by 3. Okay, and similarly in this equation, if we common the capital R square, then it would be written as like delta A is equals to, by getting common capital R square, 4 pi r square into n into small r square by capital R square minus 1. Okay, from this it is the ratio of radii of the small droplet to the big droplet, and we having the value small r by capital R as 1 by n power 1 by 3. By squaring this equation on both sides, we got that delta A is equals to 4 pi r square into n into small r square by capital R square is nothing but 1 by n power 2 by 3. 1 by n power 2 by 3 minus 1. And on solving this, we got that delta A is equals to 4 pi r square into, this is n into n power minus 2 by 3 minus 1. Okay, here the bases are equal and the powers are added. That's why we got delta A as 4 pi r square into n power 1 minus 2 by 3, it is 1 by 3 minus 1. This is the change in surface area in terms of radius of the big droplet, and this is the change in surface area in terms of radius of the small droplet. Okay, from these two equations we can write the expression for the work done, and the formula of the work done is simply W is equals to surface tension into change in surface area. From this, work done is equals to surface tension T into the change in surface area is 4 pi r square into n minus n power 2 by 3. This is the expression for the work done when a big droplet is splits into n identical droplets. Or if we can write the work done in terms of radius of the big drop, simply it can be written as like, once again, W equals to work done equals to surface tension into change in surface area, that equals to T into and the value of delta A in terms of radius of the big droplet, which is 4 pi r square into n power 1 by 3 minus 1. This is the formula for the work done in terms of radius of the big droplet, and this is the formula for the work done in terms of radius of the small droplet. Here T is the surface tension of that liquid drop. Okay, this is how we can derive an expression for the work done to split a big droplet into n identical small droplets. This is the formula for the work done in terms of radius of the small droplet, and this is the formula for the work done in terms of radius of the big droplet. Okay, thank you. Next, angle of contact. Angle of contact means it can be defined as the angle between tangent drawn to the surface of a liquid at point of contact and the solid surface inside the liquid is called angle of contact. Simply, it can be defined as the angle between tangent drawn to the free surface of a liquid at point of contact and the solid surface inside the liquid is called angle of contact. Okay, let us consider there is a beaker like this. In this beaker, it is filled with some amount of liquid. Okay, and the free surface of a liquid forms the shape of the meniscus like this. Now, this free surface of a liquid is in contact with the solid surface at here and also here. From this free surface of the liquid at the point of contact, we draw the tangent to the liquid surface. Now, this is the tangent to the liquid surface. Okay, and this is the solid surface inside the liquid. Then the angle between these two, tangent drawn to the free surface of a liquid at point of contact and the solid surface inside the liquid, is nothing but angle of contact. And this angle of contact remains same even though if these pair of solid surface and liquid like this. For example, if this is a liquid, in this liquid, the same liquid, which type of liquid we introduce into the solid vessel, the same liquid is taken here and the same solid is immersed inside the liquid. The pair of the solid and liquids are same in the above case and this case. Now also the angle of contact remains same. It means the angle of contact does not depend upon in which manner the pair of the solid and liquid surface are in contact. Otherwise, if this is the same solid surface, on this solid surface, if the liquid are lying on the surface of that solid surface, here also the angle of contact is same. This means the angle of contact does not depend upon in which manner the solid and liquid pairs are in contact. Okay, the angle of contact remains same even though if the liquid is introduced into the solid vessel, or if the solid vessel is immersed into the liquid, or on the surface of the solids we can pour a liquid, in which manner the angle of contact is same. And the angle of contact depends upon are the factors effects on the angle of contact. Factors affecting on angle of contact is okay, the pair of solid and liquid substances affects the angle of contact. Pair of solid and liquid, and the angle of contact affects the cleanness or freshness of both solid and liquid. Here the solid means the vessel made with which material, and the liquid means which type of liquid we introduce into that vessel. Okay, and by increasing the temperature, by increasing the temperature, angle of contact decreases. Okay, at the same time, the waterproofing agents like oils or grease are added to the liquid, the angle of contact increases. By adding waterproofing agents like oils or grease to the liquid, angle of contact is increased. And by adding the water wetting agents like detergents and surfs, the angle of contact decreases. By adding water wetting agents like detergents, angle of contact decreases. Okay, generally the raincoats and umbrellas for those cloth waterproofing agents are added on the upper surface. Due to that, the water surface does not wet the rain umbrella cloths and raincoats. Due to this reason, the water does not penetrates into those cloths made with waterproofing agents. Okay, and for example, for a pair of water and glass, let us consider for a pair of water and glass. Here, this is a glass beaker Okay, and this glass beaker is filled with the water. Then the free surface of a water forms the meniscus like this, and here the angle of this is the free surface of a liquid contact with the solid surface, and this is the tangent drawn to the free surface of a liquid. Okay, here the angle of contact is like this, and this theta less than 90. When the angle of contact is less than 90 degrees, then water wets the glass. Okay, similarly, for a pair of mercury and glass, for a pair of mercury and glass, let us consider this is a glass vessel. Okay, and this glass vessel is filled with a mercury, then the meniscus is formed like this. When the mercury is filled into a glass, then the upper surface of the mercury forms a meniscus like this shape. Here the tangent drawn to this liquid surface is like this, and this is the angle of contact. This is the angle of contact theta, and the angle of contact here, which is greater than 90 degrees. If the angle of contact is greater than 90, then here the mercury does not wet the glass surface. Here mercury does not wet the glass surface. Okay, similarly, for a pair of silver and water, silver vessel and water, for a pair of silver and water. Okay, let us consider this is a silver vessel. In this silver vessel, we filled with a water. The free surface of a water makes exactly 90 degrees with the solid surface. Okay, here theta equals to 90. The angle of contact is 90 degrees, means here the water critically wets the silver surface. Water critically wets the silver surface. Okay, this is about angle of contact. And the next topic is excess pressure. Excess pressure means, let us consider there is a liquid drop of radius capital R, and due to its spherical shape, there is an excess pressure in the liquid drop compared to the pressure at outside. Let us consider the pressure at outside the liquid drop is capital P. P is the pressure at outside the liquid drop. Okay, due to its spherical shape, there is some excess amount of pressure inside the liquid drop, and capital P plus small p is the pressure inside the liquid drop, where small p is an excess pressure inside the liquid drop due to its spherical shape, and T is the surface tension of that liquid surface. T is the surface tension due to the excess pressure inside the liquid drop. Now the liquid drop is expands. Now the liquid drop is extends to some extra size. Okay, now this is the extension of the liquid drop due to the excess pressure inside the liquid drop. Let us consider this is dr. Now the total radius after the extension of the liquid drop is r plus delta r. Now the initial surface area of the liquid drop is initial surface area of liquid drop is A1 equals to 4 pi r square. Initially the liquid drop having the radius r, and the final surface area of liquid drop is here. Finally the radius of the liquid drop is r plus delta r. Simply it is 4 pi into r plus dr whole square. This is the final surface area of the liquid drop A2. Now the change in surface area is, now the change in surface area is delta A is equals to A2 minus A1. By solving this, delta A is equals to A2, it is 4 pi into r plus delta r whole square minus 4 pi r square. Here the change in radius of the liquid drop is very small, and by expanding this we got that delta A is equals to 4 pi into 4 pi is the common term. By getting common as 4 pi, r plus delta r whole square minus r square. Okay, and this is like delta A is equals to 4 pi into, this is in the form of a plus b whole square. By solving this we got r square plus delta r square plus 2r into delta r minus, and there is an extra term minus r square in the bracket. Okay, by cancelling minus r square and plus r square, and delta r is very small, then delta r square is very small. Due to this, we neglecting the term of delta r square, which is approximately is equals to 0. Why? Because of it is a very small negligible value. Now we finally got the change in surface area is delta A is equals to 4 pi into 2r delta r, it is 8 pi r into dr, delta r or dr. Okay, this is the increase in surface area. Now the increase in surface energy is the increase in surface energy is written as simply delta E is equals to T into delta A. The increase in surface energy is equals to surface tension into increase in surface area. By solving this, we got that delta E is equals to T into the value of delta A is 8 pi r into dr. Okay, and the increase in surface energy is due to work done by the excess pressure inside the liquid drop. Here the surface area of the liquid drop is increased. This is due to there is an excess pressure inside the liquid drop. Due to this excess pressure, the surface area of the liquid drop is increased. Okay, due to this, we can write the sentence as like increase in surface energy is due to work done by the excess pressure. It means the work done by the excess pressure is equals to increase in surface energy, and the formula for the work done is force into displacement is equals to increase in surface energy. By solving this force, here the force can be written as pressure into area. Here this work done is due to excess pressure inside the liquid drop. Here P is the excess pressure, P into A into displacement. Here the displacement is delta R, okay, dr, that equals to delta E. The value of delta E is 8 pi r t dr. From this, P into surface area. Surface area of the liquid drop is 4 pi r square into dr is equals to 8 pi rt dr. By cancelling the common terms on the both side, 4 pi 2 times and dr are cancelling and 1 r is cancelling. Finally, P into r is equals to 2t. From this, excess pressure P equals to 2t by r. This is the expression for the excess pressure inside the liquid drop, which is in air, and the same formula is used for excess pressure inside the soap bubble inside that soap bubble is in liquid, inside the liquid, which is also P equals to 2t by r, and in case of the soap bubble is in air, then the formula is simply in place of 4 pi r square. When the soap bubble is in air, we substitute the surface area of the soap bubble as 8 pi r square. Then the excess pressure inside the soap bubble in air is P equals to 4t by r. Okay, these are the three formulas of the excess pressure. One is excess pressure inside the liquid drop, which is in air, it is 2t by r, and the another one is excess pressure inside the soap bubble, which is inside the liquid, it is 2t by r, and the soap bubble is in air, then the excess pressure is 4T by R. These are the three different types of excess pressure in the liquid drop and soap bubbles. Thank you.